Hi, this is Faye with Golden Aura, and on today's Energy Talks, I'm going to run you kind of briefly through a somatic session with a client. And last night I could not sleep. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I actually did some Reiki on myself, did some biomagnetic therapy on myself, and what kept coming up for me is to do a run through of a somatic session, primarily on dropping the story. And the one thing that came to mind first is, people aren't gonna like that. And I think that's why it's so important that I make this video, hopefully to reach whoever needs it. So somatic therapy, basically, feeling your feelings in your body so that they don't get stuck. And when they do get stuck, eventually, bit by bit, little piece by piece, walking yourself through a situation, the emotion, feeling it so that it is no longer stuck in your body. So in somatic therapy, what we would have you do is we would have you come in or distance, or whatever you prefer. And we would kind of ask you, what's going on. We would get a little bit of a background. And whatever had come up, this month or however often you have the sessions. So like I would come in, I would say, this week I got in a fight with my cousin and she was yelling at me and it really hurt my feelings, but I didn't say anything and I just can't get over it, this, that, and the other. So from that, what I would take is more than likely something happened in your childhood that has triggered this emotion. That action triggered this emotion. Oftentimes, things that trigger us for a reason. It has happened before, maybe on a bigger scale, and it was unresolved. So now every time something comes up that triggers that, you are going to have a reaction because those are unresolved emotions and feelings. And somatic therapy, we are trying to get you to the point where that doesn't happen. Because if you can tell where we are now, you have these things that are triggering you and making your life like harder, right? And so what I would take from that is something in the past was unresolved and now you're being triggered. The next thing that I would do after explaining to you that how we are going to deal with this is we are going to fully feel into that emotion. The way that we are going to fully feel into that emotion is breathe through it. We're going to feel it and we're going to breathe through it until it is fully gone. And mind you, we're not going back to the main event, the big event that has caused this domino effect of like triggers, right? We're not doing that. We are taking the last domino and dealing with that. Then later on, we'll take the second to last domino and deal with that. So little tiny pieces as to not overwhelm you, your nervous system, because we want to get you better in a better space, not make it worse. So after explaining to you exactly what we're going to do, making sure that you're okay with it, doing some breath work exercise, getting you calm, in a calm, relaxed state. What I'm going to tell you is to tell me again what happened. And the second that you say, I had a fight with my cousin and she yelled at me, I'm going to tell you to drop that story. Completely drop that story. That narrative is no longer needed. And the thing with stories, the reason why we tell you to drop them is because everybody shows up day to day from the standpoint of their lived experiences, right? So you may tell me that you got in a fight with your cousin and she yelled at you and you did nothing. Now your cousin may tell me that you yelled at her and she did nothing. And neither of you is lying. That is how you showed up. That's how you see it through your lived experiences. So there's your story, her story, and then there's the truth. And so your story, unfortunately, it does happen, may not be a completely clear picture of what happened. But regardless of that story, if we let go of that story to get rid of the feeling that is fueling that fire, that's how we get rid of this stuck emotion. So I'm going to tell you to let go of that story. Now that you have the understanding of why we are detaching from that story, what I want for you to do is I want you to bring up that feeling. When you say that she yelled at you, bring up that feeling in your body. And that seems hard. That seems like I can't go back and bring up a feeling. Try it. Try something that happened to you and it's coming to mind. Drop this story, bring up that feeling, and when you feel it in your chest, it could be in your gut, I want you to breathe through it. Breathe through it. If you can bring up that feeling, that means that it was unprocessed, and I want for you to just breathe through it until it's gone. Because what happened was that emotion, that feeling was not dealt with. And it became stuck in your body. And until, even if you bring it up and you don't fully resolve it, it's still stuck. So we want for you to breathe through it. If you cry, you cry. If you decide, hey, I want to scream, I am super pissed, totally fine. Go get a pillow, scream into that pillow. But whatever you need to do that is a healthy form to let it out, do it. And once you do it, you're going to feel much better. The one thing that I can kind of relate this to is, have you ever had something happen to you and you feel a ball in your throat and you don't know what that ball is, but there's something in your throat and you're like, what is this? And then eventually you have the biggest cry of your life. It is like out of nowhere and you don't know where it came from. You're like, what was that? That is a purge. That is that emotion having to come out. And the warning sign for that was the kind of tightness or the ball in your throat. And when you get that ball, sometimes you get like that weird raspy voice. So that is an emotion that is making its way out. And you want them out. You don't want to be a prisoner in your own body. You don't want to have these triggers and have someone be able to pull your strings, right? So that is what came up to me last night, is to do a video kind of on somatic processing. So what you're going to do is you are going to bring up something small, something very small in the recent past that irritated you, knocked you off your game, hurt your feelings. You're going to think about it. You are going to drop that story because you don't need that story. And you, in fact, don't even know 100% that that is the whole story. With the stories, what I can say is there are so many sides to different stories. You don't know what the other person is going through. The other person doesn't know what you're going through. And like I said, have you ever had a friend that told you something? And then, of course, someone else comes and they're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you something that happened about the friend that just told you the story. And these stories are so different you're like, who's a liar? When really none of them are a liar, because this is how they showed up, how they saw it. And I know everybody has had that, and that's just why we are letting go of that story. It does not serve us, and what we want to do is get these emotions out, not cling to a story that's not going to allow that to happen. Once you get that emotion out, that drive, that emotional drive to that story, it's just no longer there. And so we are going to drop that story. We are going to think of the emotion and bring that emotion into our mind, into our body. We are going to know that we're safe when we're doing this. We are doing this for ourselves, and we are in a safe space to do this. Of course, if you're not feeling emotionally, if you're not in a good emotional space, don't do this. Like, you got to be very, very smart about your headspace. So if you are having crazy anxiety, if you're depressed, do not do this. But so we are going to feel that feeling. And once we feel it, maybe it feels like we're about to maybe start crying. We are going to breathe into that, and we're going to tell ourselves, you can do this. Body, feel this. Feel this feeling. We need to feel to heal. We can do this. We are safe. And just with your breath, and what you will notice is you might have a peak, and then little by little it will go away. It will go away, and it'll go away, and finally it's gone. And depending on everybody's, life and lived experiences, you may have to do this for quite some time. But take your time, bit by bit by bit, because what you do not want to do is overwhelm your system. That is counterproductive to what we are trying to do. And so after that, what you're going to do is you are going to be extremely gentle with yourself. Now, you have just put in a good amount of work, right? So what I would want for you to do, if it was me, is really be mindful of your life, what is going on, what you are feeling, and what you are not allowing yourself to feel. Because if you're not allowing yourself to feel certain things, pretty much anything, you're going to end up in a vicious cycle of, releasing emotions and feelings and then putting them back in. So then you're going to have to release. So become very mindful that for your own wellness, for your own healing, I want for you to feel your feelings. Even if, and I've said this in another video, if you're not comfortable and something happens, leave, go home, and do this right away. That way, it's not stuck. You are removing it, you're relieving yourself, but you don't have to do it if you're not comfortable at that exact moment. I mean, best time, of course, but as long as we are aware that it's there and it needs to go, you're doing great. And the people that you're comfortable around, you will then be able to speak your mind. You can even tell them, hey, I'm doing this new thing. Normally, if I'm uncomfortable or if I don't want to hurt or upset somebody, I won't speak my mind. But for my own wellness, I'm gonna start. And people will understand that. And they might not always like it, especially if they're used to you being like an empath and being, kind of in the back, absorbing, not speaking your piece. It might take a little bit of time for them to adjust to the change, but that's fine because that's what you need. As time goes on, you're gonna get better and better. And everybody, even I sometimes, if it's like gonna cause like an argument or a huge fight, even I'll just be like, ugh, okay, do your thing, like whatever. But I've also got to the point that I don't have many triggers, and also things don't bother me like they used to. So I'm not stuffing everything, because it is very hard to shake my foundation. It is like darn near impossible. And that came with time, with being very aware, very self-aware, and with being very aware of the people that I keep in my life that I don't want to say maybe don't deserve, but they're very lucky to be in my life. I'll say that. And we all have them, that they're just like a big pain in the butt, but like, they're family, they're whatever. But I'm very aware of those people's personalities, and because I see it, I don't let it bother me. If that makes sense, without being like a total jerk about it. If you know, there are just some people that are worth taking a look at yourself, and some people that aren't. That makes sense. Okay, so this was like a rather quick video. But that's basically how we do somatics. Very condensed, but I'm hoping that you can listen to that and kind of understand steps to take in order to not keep building up emotions. And so I really hope this helps. I could not sleep last night, like I said, and so for whatever reason, I need to make this. Okay, well, I will see you back here next time for another Reiki session, crystal Reiki, yoga. Ooh, oh. By the way, if you have any questions, send me a message. I'm here for you. We are starting a podcast. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing, is when I first started making videos years and years and years ago, they were guided meditations. And I've said this before, accidentally deleted that whole channel, but it led me to make this one. So I definitely think it was meant to be. But what I wanted was, so to make these sessions, I will come into the office even if I don't really have a client that day. So like on Sundays, for instance, that's like a day with my family, but I will come in the morning. My husband goes to the gym, my kids are sleeping, so I will come in the morning to make these videos. And normally if I have to make a video, I will come in bright and early, like 6:37 to get them done. But what I thought about was, it's basically just me talking, right? Talking to a camera, which actually I feel like I've gotten very good at, because when I first started doing this, it was very hard for me. And I remember I put myself up on my big screen TV and I was like, oh my gosh, my eyebrows are crooked. But I was born like this. So they're not going to be twins anytime soon. So just putting it out there. But so I'm like, what can I do at home? And guided meditations, believe it or not, they take a lot of work. There's a lot of editing. So a guided meditation could take you, it could take you hours, to be honest. So I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I also, I am a nerd. Like, I love to talk about all things energy, like everything that I've learned. I could just talk and talk. Like, I love it. It makes me so happy. It lights up my soul. So this morning I woke up and I was like, maybe I'll start a podcast, because I can do that from my house. So Golden Aura Energy Healing and Wellness podcast is coming, I believe by the next couple weeks. So, what a joyous event. You can listen to me in your car. Okay, so we will see you back here next time, or you can join us on the Golden Aura Energy Healing and Wellness podcast. coming soon. Okay, have a